Ever had a song hit you so deep that you keep coming back to it years later? Losing My Religion by R.E.M. is one of those tracks. It's more than just a 90s alternative rock classic. Underneath its haunting melody, there's a raw, relatable story about love, obsession, and the moments when reality shatters the stories we tell ourselves. Whether you've been through heartbreak, self doubt, or just the ache of wanting something you can't have, this song speaks to that universal struggle. So let's break it down. Not just the lyrics, but why it still resonates decades later. Because the best songs don't just sound good, they mean something. Verse 1 is packed with emotional tension and existential musings, all wrapped in cryptic yet relatable lyrics. The opening lines, "Oh, life, it's bigger than you, and you are not me," set the stage for a reflection on how overwhelming life can feel. The speaker is acknowledging that life is vast and uncontrollable, bigger than any one person, and that no one truly understands another's experience. There's a sense of isolation here, as if the speaker is realizing they're alone in their struggles despite trying to connect with someone else. The next lines, "The lengths that I will go to, the distance in your eyes," suggest a one sided effort in a relationship. The speaker is willing to go far, maybe even too far, to bridge the gap between them and the other person, but the other person's emotional distance, the distance in your eyes, makes it feel impossible. This creates a push and pull dynamic where the speaker is pouring energy into something that isn't being reciprocated. Then comes the self aware moment. "Oh no, I've said too much. I set it up." This could mean the speaker feels they've revealed too much emotionally, maybe even scared the other person off by being too intense. The phrase, "I set it up," hints at self sabotage, like they orchestrated their own downfall by oversharing or overinvesting. The imagery in "that's me in the corner, that's me in the spotlight" is striking because it contrasts two extremes, hiding in the shadows and being exposed under scrutiny. It's as if the speaker is torn between wanting to disappear and being painfully visible, maybe even judged. The phrase "losing my religion," which in Southern slang means losing one's composure or sanity, reinforces this idea of unraveling under pressure. They're trying to keep up with you, but it's exhausting and they're not sure they can anymore. The closing lines, "Oh no, I've said too much. I haven't said enough," loop back to the earlier doubt. The speaker is stuck in a paradox. They feel like they've overshared, yet they also haven't truly expressed what they need to. It's a frustrating cycle of wanting to connect, but never quite getting it right, which makes the whole verse feel deeply human and raw. The chorus is deceptively simple, but packed with uncertainty and longing. The repetition of "I thought" and "I think I thought" makes it clear that the speaker isn't sure about what they're perceiving. It's all hazy, like trying to grasp something just out of reach. When they say, "I thought that I heard you laughing, I thought that I heard you sing," it feels like they're reminiscing or maybe even imagining moments of connection. Laughter and singing are usually signs of joy or openness, so these lines suggest a time when things felt easier between them and the other person. But because it's all in past tense, "I thought," it raises the question, was that connection ever real, or is the speaker just clinging to memories or even illusions? The last line, "I think I thought I saw you try," adds another layer of doubt. The phrasing is hesitant. "I think I thought," as if the speaker is second guessing themselves. They want to believe the other person made an effort, but they are not sure. It could also imply that the effort was so small or fleeting that it's hard to tell if it even happened. This ties back to the theme of one-sided relationships, where one person is desperately looking for signs of reciprocity but can't be certain they exist. Overall, the chorus captures the fragility of human connection. It's about the space between hope and reality, where you're not sure if what you remember or what you sense is true or just something you've constructed in your mind. The vagueness of the words mirrors how relationships can feel when they're slipping away. You're left questioning what was real and what you imagined. Verse 2 dives deeper into the speaker's internal struggle, painting a picture of obsession, guilt, and emotional exhaustion. The opening lines, every whisper of every waking hour, suggest a mind consumed by constant nagging thoughts. It's like the speaker is hyper aware of every little thing, maybe even paranoid, as if they're analyzing every word or sound around them for a hidden meaning. This could reflect the anxiety of a one sided relationship where one person is overanalyzing every interaction, desperate for clues about how the other person feels. The line, I'm choosing my confessions, is especially interesting. On one level, it might mean the speaker is carefully deciding what to reveal and what to keep hidden, maybe to avoid scaring the other person away or to protect themselves. But Confessions also carries a religious weight, tying back to the song's title. It could imply guilt or shame, like the speaker is constantly judging themselves, weighing what they've done wrong in this relationship. The phrase, trying to keep an eye on you, adds to this sense of fixation. They're watching the other person closely, maybe to anticipate their moods or actions, but it's draining them. The comparison to a hurt, lost, and blinded fool is brutally honest. It's a moment of self awareness where the speaker admits they're a mess, hurt by the situation, lost in their emotions, and blinded by their own desperation. The repetition of fool drives home their feelings of foolishness, like they know they're being irrational but can't stop themselves. Finally, the return of, oh no, I've said too much, I set it up, mirrors verse 1, reinforcing the cycle of regret and self sabotage. It's like the speaker keeps crossing an invisible line, revealing too much, being too intense, and then realizing too late that they've pushed things further out of balance. There's a tragic irony here. In trying to connect, they might be pushing the other person away. Overall, this verse captures the raw, messy side of love and longing, where desire and insecurity collide, leaving the speaker feeling exposed and foolish. The pre chorus hits like a sudden moment of clarity, or maybe a moment of crushing realization. When the singer says, consider this, 3 times, it feels like they're begging both the listener and themselves to pay attention to something important. Calling it the hint of the century makes it sound like this is a massive, life changing revelation, but the next line, the slip that brought me to my knees, reveals it's actually something small and accidental. Maybe it was a careless word, a misunderstood gesture, or a moment of vulnerability that completely unraveled them. The word failed hanging at the end of that line is brutal. It suggests that no matter how hard they tried, they still messed things up. Then comes the haunting question. What if all these fantasies come flailing around? This line captures the fear of illusions being shattered. The speaker might have built up fantasies about how the relationship could be, or Maybe they convinced themselves the other person felt the same way, only to realize none of it was real. The word flailing makes it sound chaotic and desperate, like watching everything you believed in collapse in real time. Finally, the repeated, "Now I've said too much," echoes earlier verses, but here it feels heavier. It's not just regret over sharing too much emotionally, it's the sinking feeling that they've exposed something irreversible, maybe even destroyed whatever fragile connection they had. The pre chorus acts like a tipping point in the song where all the overthinking and longing from the verses crashes into a moment of painful self awareness. It's about that split second when you realize you've lost control of the narrative and there's no taking it back. The bridge, "But that was just a dream, that was just a dream," is one of the most devastating moments in the song because it's where the speaker fully confronts the illusion they've been clinging to. Up until this point, the lyrics have been filled with uncertainty. I thought, I think, I thought, and desperate hope, trying to keep up with you. But here, there's a resigned clarity. Whatever connection or happiness they imagined was never real. It was just a dream, a fantasy they constructed to cope with longing or rejection. The repetition of the line drives home the finality of it, like they're trying to convince themselves to let go. This moment also ties back to the song's title, "Losing My Religion." In Southern slang, the phrase means losing your composure or grip on reality, and that's exactly what's happening here. The speaker isn't just admitting that their hopes were a dream, they're admitting they've been delusional, maybe even a little obsessed. It's a painful but necessary realization, the kind that forces you to wake up and face the truth no matter how much it hurts. What makes these lines so powerful is their simplicity. There's no elaborate metaphor, just a cold, straightforward admission. After all the spiraling thoughts and emotional chaos in the verses and pre chorus, the bridge strips everything down to its core. None of it was real. It's the moment the speaker stops trying to decode signals or salvage the relationship and instead accepts that they've been chasing something that never existed. And that's what makes it hit so hard. It's not just about lost love, but about the collapse of the stories we tell ourselves to keep hope alive. Verse 3 serves as both a callback and a climax to the emotional journey of losing my religion, mirroring verse 1 but with heightened desperation. The repetition of "that's me in the corner, that's me in the spotlight" reinforces the speaker's fractured sense of self. They are simultaneously hiding and exposed, torn between withdrawal and the unbearable scrutiny of their own emotions. The corner symbolizes shame or retreat, like a child punished in timeout, while the spotlight suggests the glaring self awareness of their own unraveling. This duality captures the paradox of heartbreak. You want to disappear, but your pain feels magnified as if everyone can see it. The phrase, "losing my religion," hits harder here after the bridge's revelation. That was just a dream. Now, it's not just about losing composure, it's about losing faith. Faith in the relationship, faith in their own judgment, maybe even faith in love itself. The speaker is trying to keep up with you, but the exhaustion is palpable. Where earlier verses framed this effort as uncertain, "I don't know if I can do it," here it feels like a breaking point. The admission, "I don't know if I can do it," isn't just doubt, it's near surrender, as if they're finally acknowledging the futility of their struggle. The closing lines, "Oh no, I've said too much, I haven't said enough," loop the song back to its central tension, the inability to communicate what truly matters. Earlier, This felt like anxious hesitation. Now, it's layered with the weight of the bridge's disillusionment. The speaker realizes they've overshared, said too much, in ways that backfired, yet they've also failed to express the core of their pain, haven't said enough. It's a tragic irony. The more they try to articulate their feelings, the less understood they feel. Ultimately, verse 3 reflects the cyclical nature of obsessive love. The repetition of imagery and phrases from verse 1 suggests the speaker is stuck in the same emotional loop, but now with the added wariness of experience. They've seen the truth, just a dream, yet they're still trapped between longing and self destruction, unable to fully let go or fully connect. It's a masterful portrayal of how heartbreak can feel like both a public spectacle and a private prison. The outro serves as the song's emotional epilogue, where the speaker fully surrenders to the painful truth they've been wrestling with throughout the entire track. The repetition of "that was just a dream," now stripped down to its barest form, acts like a mantra, as if the speaker is trying to drill this reality into their own psyche. Where the bridge first introduced this line as a revelation, here in the outro it becomes a resigned acceptance. The dream they've been chasing, whether it was love, understanding, or connection, was never real, and now they're left with the hollow aftermath of that realization. The fragmented phrase, try, cry, why try, is particularly devastating in its simplicity. It reads like the speaker's internal monologue collapsing under the weight of exhaustion. Try echoes their earlier efforts trying to keep up with you. Cry acknowledges the emotional toll. And why try is the ultimate defeat, a question that undermines every effort they've made. It's the sound of someone giving up, their thoughts reduced to a staccato of despair. This line distills the entire song's struggle into three words: the futile cycle of trying, hurting, and questioning whether any of it was worth it. As the outro fades with just a dream, dream, the repetition feels almost hypnotic, like the speaker is trying to numb themselves to the pain by repeating it until it loses meaning. The extra elongation of dream, dream at the end mirrors the way illusions dissolve when you stare at them too long. They blur, then vanish. It's a quiet, heartbreaking conclusion that contrasts with the song's earlier tension. There's no more "I've said too much" or frantic self analysis, just the dull ache of acceptance. The fantasy is over, and all that's left is the quiet aftermath. What makes the outro so powerful is how it mirrors the grieving process. The speaker has cycled through denial, the verses hopeful uncertainty, anger, the pre-choruses slip that brought me to my knees, bargaining, trying to keep up with you, and depression. Why try? Now, in these final lines, they reach acceptance, not the kind that brings peace, but the kind that leaves you empty. The dream is dead, and the song fades out on that emptiness, making Losing My Religion not just a song about unrequited love, but about the death of the stories we tell ourselves to keep longing alive.